But Johnny, let's move on into our third topic. And before we get into everything, Johnny, forgot to do this for the second segment, so it won't have it, but I'm going to do it for this one. Make sure to either, if you're on podcast services around the world listening to us, or if you're checking us out on YouTube, hello, I am waving to you. Make sure to rate and review the Rick and Johnny podcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. Takes a quick second. I hope we're giving you that 5-star value that we strive for each and every week. Let us know why you like the podcast, why you like listening to it, and any new ones we get, I will read on future podcasts when I do this read at the beginning of the segment in the future. But let's move on. The third topic we're talking about, we're diving into some MCU. So we talked about Avengers Endgame earlier, and this one has to do with the MCU. And I thought that I had the Marvel theory in the email that I had sent to us. So I'll have to pull up the link really quick. But basically the question that we are asking Johnny is, will Kang the Conqueror be the next big baddie that the Avengers are going out? Not even the Avengers, that the MCU is leading to. Because the big thing is that time travel is going to be a part of Avengers Endgame. Obviously, it's not just going to be, hey, let's change the past to help our future and make everything right. It's going to have lasting impacts.
Oh, yeah.
On the future. Does that mean, do you think that the MCU, that Marvel, would even lead up to another big baddie like Thanos? And would Kang the Conqueror be him?
I think it'd be potential for
Kang the Conqueror. Would that be him?
I think it would be that would be a very legible villain to bring up, as if Marvel wants to do a big baddie, which I would hope they would, because it works for them to have everything slowly leading up to a big baddie. So I mean, have Kang be the next one, because I mean now we're gonna screw with time. And we started introducing screwing with time in Doctor Strange. Now, like, at least we're supposed to be via Ant-Man and what he's found out about the quantum realm. And I forgot they call him again. We did this last time, too, when we talked about villains.
The void holes. The vortexes. The
time vortexes.
The vertices.
Time vertices. Okay. There we go. See, now we got the word this time.
Eventually we got to it.
So the time vert...
I'm looking it up. Go on.
Okay. So we'll go with time vertices until Ricky finds out otherwise. So the time vertices now we have to play around with Ant-Man. So that's going to and that's the thing. We don't know if Ant-Man's going to find out if, hey, there is a set way to figure out which one's which. Or if it's like, you just got to keep fucking jumping. Yeah. I mean... You just got to keep jumping until you find it.
And that's what it seems like. It seems like that because...
Van Dyne said...
not just that, but like in the trailer.
Yeah.
The footage, and Cap goes, is that from right now?
Is that record? No, he goes, is that recording?
Recording? Because...
She goes, no, that's the front gate.
Obviously, because like in the corner, though, it says like a different time. Like,
Does
that's what people have looked into.
I didn't even look at that.
Maybe that's why it says, is that a recording? Because like... You know, it says a different date up in the corner.
Yeah.
He might have gone there at a different time period. Might have went there a little in the future, a little bit in the past.
I think the past, otherwise they're not going to see it.
To try to find the Avengers that are left so that, hey, we can figure this out. I just have a hard time thinking, whether it's Kang the Conqueror, whether it's something completely different, I have a hard time thinking that Marvel is going to do a time travel movie and not have it affect anything in the future.
No, I would think it would be weird because the Russos have like 20 movies ahead planned out.
Well, even just Marvel in general has the next like 20 movies planned.
Well, that's why I'm saying the Russos are basically Marvel.
The Russos are Marvel.
The Russos are
they're pulling the strings.
Russos,
and Kevin Feige's above them pulling their strings.
Yeah, the Russos are the MCU. They have like 20 movies ahead planned out.
Yeah.
And branches off of that just in case something doesn't work.
Not Guardians at this point.
No, they
need a director for that.
They put that on the back burner and
it'd be a shame if they like had a director. They did have a director, but it'd be a shame if like, they would have kept that director. We've talked about that though ad nauseum, but go ahead with what you were saying.
But that would be the thing is like where's it going with that now?
jumping through each one and
we don't know
Van Dyne.
we don't know if it's Van Dyne even said if you get lost in there we can't help you. So the thought would be either she wasn't brave enough to investigate and find out if there's like a specific way to find it, or she knows well enough to where you can't tell what's on the other side of it, so you don't know what time you're coming back to.
And Scott Lang's crazy enough to go, well, either I sit here forever or I go.
I just start jumping through because he's like, well, I did it with the belt before.
He also doesn't think things through. Let's be honest.
He doesn't, because I mean, he's kind of he's sort of he's
an
like
experimenter.
He's a what's the word I'm saying? He takes risk, but he calculated risks. So like, is this gonna kill me? 50-50.
It's not as calculated as like a Tony Stark. He doesn't have the exact like equation in his head.
No.
But hey, will it kill me? I like those odds. And then he does
exactly. He's sort of like a Han Solo. Don't tell me the odds.
See, for me though, I feel like with this movie, is Kang the Conqueror going to be the next big baddie? I kind of want to say no. The only reason why is I think Marvel is going to move away from this. Because the thing you got to think of is I know a lot of people want the next big baddie. But I think of this. If we jump to the next one and we do a Kang the Conqueror, much like we did Thanos, it lessens what we just did. It lessens the Thanos one because then it's like, okay, we're doing it again. Here's another big baddie. Here's the formula. Find a new, like, I'm not...
A new formula for
I'm not upset
introducing.
with, like, introducing a Kang. I would even like it if it was something where this is what I would like to happen. Endgame happens. Because of all their time jumps and everything, they come back to their universe. I've said this before. They come back to their universe. There are mutants. Where everyone else is just life as usual, but the Avengers are like, whoa, what? What's a mutant? Maybe like they look at the screen and you see CGI Beast in a suit, Congressman.
Oh, maybe like...
What's a mutant? Where maybe they have to deal with that.
Maybe less like what's a mutant and more like mutants are actually a prominent part of society now.
Exactly. Where it's like, that's how you introduce the X-Men without having to deal with anything.
Yeah.
Your time travel stuff...
Little ripples.
Brought you back, but the little ripple made mutants more of a prominent thing.
Yeah. And
that
would
not
say...
just little miracles, they're mutants. I still can't get over that. I get why.
Ricky, just... We're going to fix it.
I'm never going to drop it.
They're going to fix it.
But that's how I would basically
I agree. That's a good way to do it.
Into the universe.
Even if it's just like the TV in the background showing.
Or if it doesn't even have to be, like, you don't even have to make a CGI Beast. It could just be something about some congressman on TV bitching about mutants.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's literally all it was just congressmen complaining about mutants and how they're evil for us, but really it's just the whole, like, the whole mutants versus non-mutants is a way for them to kind of relate that to what we go through with like race and stuff and inequality in our world. But that's how you do it. Then later on, because what I would really like is an Avengers versus X-Men type of storyline.
That would be cool.
Because what I think would be cool is they introduce these X-Men, however they do it, either my way or somewhere else. They don't get along right away. It's not like these two forces are going to be like, oh, buddy, buddy. What did we even see when the Guardians met Tony in that? It was a head-on fight.
Yeah.
Where it was like, whoa, hey, I'll blast his head off. Do it, Quill. I can take it.
No, you can't. No, he can't.
It was a full-on fight. No, like, even I'm rewatching it going... Man, if they just would have came at this logically, none of this would have had to happen.
Right.
But no, that's what happened. What if the same thing happens when the X-Men are introduced, but on a bigger scale because the teams are bigger?
True.
The teams are bigger. Let's say, I mean, I could see Professor X trying, like, figuring things out quicker and diffusing the situation.
Trying to, yeah.
But what if he's not a main part of it? What if he's back at the school? so he's not on the front line, so he can't use his power in that sense of exactly to like
tell them
what are they doing and stuff. But I mean, that is what I would like to see. And then later on, if you want to introduce a Kang, you can introduce Kang in an X-Men movie, basically saying, oh, the events of Endgame did this, and then you can have him in like an X-Men movie. What if they did like then set him up to where part 1's an X-Men movie, part 2's an Avenger movie, part 3 is them together in the final movie.
Well, the only problem I have with that is they're a little consistent more so on like who's enemy, and Kang is more of an Avengers enemy than an X-Men one. So I would say it's got to be.
Hasn't he dabbled with both? Though?
I don't know if he's done really many of the. I mean, he may have, but I know.
I'm just gonna look.
I know him as more of an Avengers enemy.
Okay.
Whereas like you have Apocalypse is a big,
X-Men
enemy.
Galactus is
Mr. Sinister. Galactus is everyone.
Yeah.
It is Avengers. It is the Fantastic Four, which would be a great way to get them in there. And then X-Men as well. I don't know if I said that. Yeah, I said. Okay. So it's like those three big groups. Those are the three big groups.
So from what I'm seeing,
big groups.
Really, you are right. He's more of an Avengers enemy. Really, the only X-Men character to really have a prominent fight with him is Nate Gray.
Nate Gray. Oh,
I'm assuming like a son or something of Jean Grey.
Probably.
And or Cable, because it looks like he's got the time traveling eye, and he's got the white hair like Cable would have. I'm assuming maybe a descendant of Jean Grey and Cable.
Maybe.
But that's what everyone's saying is like, oh, Kang and Nate, Kang and Nate, Kang and Nate. So yeah, you were right. He is not really X-Men, more Avengers.
I mean, an Avengers versus X-Men would be awesome, and I'd like to see like, especially if like we introduce the X-Men into some other like Avenger or like in other movies like sprinkled in, like Wolverine with the Avengers, and then the X-Men versus Avengers comes out, like him trying to pick a side type thing. Especially if you become...
Say that one more time.
So, Wolverine has been part of, like, every fucking group.
And he's got to pick between the...
Like, trying to pick between the two. Because, like, in some things, more so cartoons lately, you see him, he's very buddy-buddy with Spider-Man. And he's been part of the Avengers, but he's also a mutant, and he's part of the X-Men. He's been part of Alpha Flight. He's been part of Weapon X. And that group, I forgot they have an actual like team name too for theirs. But he's been part of fucking everything, pardon my language.
Yeah.
So it's like he's gonna have to choose between the two, and then to see like that. I mean, that's me playing to my favorite character. But
I also found out who Nate Gray actually is.
Who?
He's the biological son of his dimensions, Scott Summers and Jean Grey. However, he had been born of genetic tampering by Mr. Sinister. So his first name, he's named after Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel Essex, so Nate.
Essex.
And then his last name is biological mother, Jean Grey. Nice. So Nate Gray.
Interesting.
And in alternate reality of Age of Apocalypse, he was in a story with Cable. So that's why he's got the time traveling eye thing. But yeah, I mean, that to me is the main. I think the next main priority of Marvel is not the next big baddie. It's, hey, we're going to have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. How do we introduce them?
You can, like you said, you can introduce X-Men into the next in Endgame actually, just by like a post-credit scene. Like near the end of the movie where like we see all the results of everything that's changed, like basically at the end of Avengers where they show all the news clippings and people interviews and blah blah blah, like Avengers, like people like them, people hate them, and then like you can have something like that in like the back screen where you can actually notice it, but not like it's in your face where it's like the banner below a congressman talking, fighting mutant rights, or blah blah blah, some stuff like that.
Here's another thing that I want to bring up with, and this comes into this whole conversation in general. Like I read an article today that was titled how the MCU will look completely different after 2019. So after this year, after Endgame, how is it going to look different? And here were their big bullet points. The first one was many major Avengers will be gone. Tony will be gone. Steve will be gone. Bruce might be gone. Thor might be gone.
Thor, so I think you and I have both read, and
he wants to be...
He will still be part of the MCU as long as they ask him back, but he's not acting for a while.
Yeah, so I mean, like, so in their next movies, these Avengers are not going to be...
Yeah, we don't have
if they have a next Avengers movie, unless they really ask him back, he's not going to be there.
He's not an Avenger. Or he is. But
so many of these...
We're not going to have our original Avengers.
Yeah, I'll say the Phase 1 Avengers.
Yeah.
It says an end to the 11-year Infinity Stone story. I just looked at it and go, well, duh. That's what the end of Endgame is. I don't think they're going to, in Endgame, go, oh, and the story still continues over here. I think we're done dealing with stones. And then their last two, I hate that they make you click, a new wave of diverse superheroes. Oh, come on, really? Like, that's obvious. You're not going to have the major Avengers.
You sure?
New heroes to take their spot. And the last one that I thought was very interesting, the MCU will become a cinematic and TV universe. Which, at first, I'd be like, no, because they already tried that and it didn't work.
Bad.
But now it got me thinking they're going to have the streaming service.
Yeah.
And if they're going to do like movie level budgeted series, but just have them shorter episodes, why not have them tie in to the MCU?
Exactly.
Why not? So, I mean, with this, it's going to look a lot differently. And that's why me with another one, I lean back to that. Maybe they're not. And maybe let's not just plan the next big baddie. Like, we don't need it. Like, would I love a Galactus type of villain just towering over everybody? Yes. Because the thing I love about Infinity War is, and of course, Infinity War right now, it was so well planned. Like, there's not many movies out there that made me care about the villain. Usually it's been kill the villain, beat the villain. Man, I really want my superhero to beat this villain. But with Thanos, you look at him and you're like, yeah, he's on, like, I disagree with him. He's on the wrong side. But I get why he thinks the way he does.
Exactly.
And you sympathize with him. And
that's what makes a great villain.
Well, no, like, I really sympathize with Thanos to where if everything was flipped, like, if an alien came to Earth and was like, and I said, watch Infinity War, I think he or she could think like, okay, I think I know who the good guys are, but it wouldn't be a black and white. Like, depending on their point of view, they could maybe say, oh, no, I get what this guy's talking about. Maybe they come from Titan, so they understand what Thanos is going to, and that would be a terrible person to show that movie to.
Probably.
They would just be like, wow, basically go through my decimation. Because even like he says to Gamora, he goes, your planet, the children that have been born on that planet ever since have known nothing but clear skies and full bellies. And she goes, but you murdered half of everybody. But to Thanos, that doesn't matter because the planet right now,
the greater good,
is thriving.
It was all in his mind, it's the greater good.
And the future, like he said, the children that have been born there have never had to worry about anything. Where it all comes down to what's better. The future and sacrificing some people for that future, or we don't trade, yet again, we don't trade lives and just living the way you are because that's just how it is. And I know that brings us back to the first segment a little bit, but that's why I don't think Kang the Conqueror is going to happen as a big baddie. He might be like the seeds might be planted like Thanos, but it'll be resolved a little bit quicker, and it won't be on the same scale that Thanos was.
Yeah, well, this is a little bit more epic scale. What if we get instead, we get like Kang in like within 5 movies. Just like a little bit of a build up to show who he is, maybe
like post-credit scenes.
Post-credit scenes, the fact that like, because there's like, I've read a comic or two now with the newer Avengers lineup where it's got like the female Thor, you got Falcon as Cap, you got Spider-Man, Tony's still in it in this one, and Vision, Miss Marvel, which is the new Miss Marvel, I forgot her real name, and then 1 or 2 other people, I think, and Nova's part of it. But anyways, to go with this one, their main villain is Kang, and he was already introduced in the one like graphic novel I read.
Yeah,
but it's to show like he's gonna keep coming back at you, because in this one he'll
pick different time periods.
He's stuck in that time. Certain phase shifting, he's kind of stuck in that way. But it's like, he'll come back and leave. He'll come back and leave. But maybe it'll be like more of a, in this case, he'll come back, fuck with something that the Avengers did, and then come back because he's trying to fix his time so he can keep ruling, whereas the Avengers are doing this.
Yeah, where the whole thing to start that would be Endgame. Endgame fucks with his time.
And that's what I'm saying.
Because Thanos helped him. Maybe what Thanos did helped him take power because
he get rid of half of everyone. And when the Avengers fix that, it's not half of everybody that he doesn't have to only fight half of everybody. So he can't take over anymore. And that's in his time, things are phase shifting in and out, whereas so he jumps back to our time. And maybe like they show, like, go reference back to this movie and say that's what he manipulated now in order for it to happen, for for everything to lead to Thanos.
What if they did this? And I'm gonna take some ideas and put them together. So take your idea with Kang.
Yeah.
I know that he's not an X-Men villain, but just hear me out here.
No.
There's 3 phases to this.
Okay.
Of like movies, and you can map them in any way. And not every movie has to deal with this timeline. Like, for example, I'm trying to think. Like, Black Panther. The main story of Black Panther didn't have to do with anything with Thanos. It introduced us to Wakanda.
Yeah.
And the big thing at the end that it did for Infinity War is it opened Wakanda up to the world. Yeah. Like, even Okoye says, like, like the Olympics, maybe a Starbucks. That's what I thought you meant by opening us up to the world. What if this story is in a three act plan of movies?
Okay.
The first phase of movies, Avengers versus X-Men. Avengers come back from Endgame. What the hell's going on? Why are mutants, like, mutant rights? What is this? Civil War was about the Sokovia Accords. Basically, they changed the timeline to where the Sokovia Accords never happened. It wasn't the Sokovia Accords. It was mutant rights that they were fighting for.
Sokovia didn't necessarily not happen, but because the kickoff of event, like, mutant rights against the Sokovia Accords because, all mutants have to register.
Maybe.
And that like, and the mutants are going, well, that's our right to not be registered if we don't want to be.
True.
Because it's against our personal rights.
But basically,
that's what I'm saying.
Mutant rights.
So keep the Sokovia Accords.
Exactly. That could
play into it.
But the first phase of movies is X-Men versus Avengers.
Yes.
X-Men are implemented. We can get dual movies between the X-Men and the Avengers and have some good stories told. Phase 2 of that would be introducing Kang. At the end of phase 1 into phase 2, you introduce Kang and have him be teased throughout phase 2. This is where you kind of separate the Avengers and X-Men again, where it's basically their battles from number 1 aren't completely demolished, but they're not going head-to-head quite as they did.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 is, holy shit, Kang is really messing shit up. The Avengers and X-Men come to each other and say, in order to defeat him, we have to come together. And that's where you can get... Because I think what's mapping in my mind, what I would love to see, is at the end of it, so your Infinity War Endgame type of movie is the X-Men and the Avengers on screen together. And maybe that's, you don't do X-Men versus Avengers. You keep them separate. Maybe it's a two-phase thing. Number one, they're separate, but Kang kind of messes with messes in both movies in a sense. He's not in every post-credit, but like he could be in either post-credit.
Well, this is you leading to a big Thanos baddie again then.
Kind of.
So my thought would be, and I was kind of going off
unless you're going to take Kang out of it and then just lead to an X-Men versus Avengers movie, because that's what I would like to see. Both of these groups on screen at the same time, all groups together, not just pieces.
Let me put it this way. Okay, so we get Endgame. Endgame introduces X-Men and like mutants as well, and then we get, and then the next Avengers movie, it's not X-Men versus Avengers yet. It's starting to like, we do like a 5-movie with different Avengers heroes, different Avengers actual movie, like Avengers movie and just individual Avengers heroes, 5 to 7 movies leading up to and fighting Kang, and do it like a phase to a phase and a half with him. Separate event, X-Men movie, do some other, like maybe make it a Mr. Sinister, whoever they want him, Apocalypse, and redo that and fix that fucking thing. And maybe do that as a separate X-Men storyline.
God, I forgot Fantastic Four.
I know.
Think about
but I was going to say, put them along the lines.
They always get the short end of the stick for me.
I mean, but it's only 4 people, and
I know.
You can do an individual movie for them and be done with it.
They've dealt with Kang.
They have. I mean, you can kind of play them in there if you really want to. But you do that, and at least 1 or 2 of the movies is a crossover one of just X-Men versus Avengers. Something makes them butt heads. Maybe something Kang does makes the two teams butt heads, and you get 1 to 2 movies of X-Men versus Avengers.
I would like that.
So that you have 2 now. Like we had like this one whole tree trunk of things. Now we have 2 separate ones going off. This is Avengers, this is X-Men, and they interweave a little bit here and there.
I'll be completely honest. You know whose job I do not envy? Kevin Feige.
Oh God.
The reason why is because I know there'd be a ton of people that are like, why? I'd love to be Kevin Feige. But I wouldn't, because knowing me, I would not make the right decision in how to introduce these. Like the way they have introduced characters have just been so good.
Beautiful.
And I can't wait for how they introduce the X-Men. I am more excited about the X-Men than anything.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with them.
And kind of just to put a kibosh on all this, Kang being the next baddie, I would lean against it. Let the Thanos baddie type thing, let this be the only time we did that. Just let it sit. Let it sit, because it was special. It's kind of like what they say. Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened.
Exactly.
And in this case, it's don't rush to the next one to try to do it the exact same, because this one is over.
Well, that's why I was saying kind of doing the dual branch one, and just like, we need kind of someone to go up against, but we don't make it as big as Thanos. Don't make it a 10-year thing.
It could just be a 3-movie arc.
Well, I would say even like make it a 5 to 7 movie arc, just to say, so that way you can play with him a little bit. Like
because you got to have some post-credit scenes from random movies kind of tease into it, too,
exactly.
and build that hype. Because
exactly.
that's another thing. Infinity War, the hype was built up.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying make Kang like a 7-movie arc where it's over Avengers and individuals, and just 7 movies, and then he's resolved by the 7th movie.
And that's another thing.
X-Men, you can do like a 3 jump with Mr. Sinister, another jump with.
That's one thing I don't think about is X-Men.
Yeah.
And this is the last thing I'll say on the podcast is we have only seen X-Men movies minus Wolverine as the X-Men together.
Yeah.
Last Stand, X-Men 1, X3. I think Last Stand was 3 and X2 was 2.
First Class even.
First Class, Age of Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix Saga. Like,
it's everyone
always
together.
Been the whole thing. We've never seen individual stories, and I think that's
aside from Wolverine, like you said.
I think that's what Marvel is going to dive into.
Start in individuals, or at least smaller pockets.
Yes, I think what Marvel is going to do is dive into individual, like we got with the Avengers.
Would be good.
Dive into individual stories with the X-Men.
Nightcrawler would be entertaining.
His whole origin
Storm
and everything. Storm's
got an interesting origin, like being a child and being seen as a deity goddess.
What about Rogue?
Rogue too, yeah. They all do.
A Rogue Gambit movie.
There you go.
Like kind of.
It doesn't even have to be their origins.
Kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde type movie.
Well, like
Gambit, not Channing Tatum Gambit, just Gambit and Rogue. You could also have I guess a Colossus movie could work, but like a Kitty Pryde movie.
Colossus and Kitty Pryde, because you can team them up too, just to have duel instead of like the whole team or just one. Like it depends on how interesting do you think you can make this individual, or do you think it would be better paired with someone? Because like Colossus and Kitty Pryde dated for a while even in the comics. So
could you imagine a Wolverine movie that's like back in World War II? Like is Wolverine back?
Oh,
in
you
World
mean
War
the thing we skipped and made into a montage in the first Wolverine movie?
Yeah.
That awesome part that could have
basically take Captain America, but take Captain America out and put Wolverine in there.
Oh, you know what this could even play into then if they make mutants.
We make that movie Wolverine have a Captain America cameo because it's happening at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, he from what I think he's supposed to even be part of the Howling Commandos. Wolverine?
Really?
I thought so. Or or if nothing else, I know he worked with Captain America at one point.
Did he? I'm going to type in Wolverine.
Yeah, go ahead and look for it because I thought he
did. It comes up on Howling Commandos were U.S. escorting. No, that's what it was.
He worked with them?
So Ultimate Marvel and Ultimate
he was
Universe,
part of the Canadian Forces anyways.
Howling Commandos were the U.S. Army Ranger unit escorting an imprisoned Wolverine during the Gulf War. And then the convoy was attacked by the Iraqi Republican Guard, killing all but Fury.
That's a different thing than what I read.
That'd be cool though, if it's like an ultimate storyline of the Howling Commandos where they are escorting an imprisoned Wolverine.
There was I can't remember if it's a side comic I read, a different different universe.
Part of the Howling Commandos.
No, I don't think he was part of it. I think it was the cartoons from back in the 90s.
Was it Alpha Flight working with him?
Well, it wasn't Alpha Flight itself. So this was before Alpha Flight. This was World War II. He was is his bone claw and everything.
Yeah.
This is him not using the bone claws necessarily. Him being just a normal soldier. Canadian forces, though.
Yeah.
Helping liberate a concentration camp with Captain America.
Okay. But he worked with...
This is like one mission that he worked with Cap.
So then it was basically just that. That would be cool just to see in a movie, not what we've seen normally. And I think that's what they're going to tackle on is just these individual stories
which
that we have not seen. Any final things that you think we did not take a look at that we should here at the end?
Not that I can think of at the moment. It'll come afterwards.
Yeah, we'll stop recording. John will be like, oh, that's what I should have said.
Yeah.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. Also, support us on Patreon, rate the podcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts, and make sure to check out mostvaluablepodcast.com where you can catch MVP each and every day. I want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. For Johnny Karlic and Ricky Widmer, as always, have a good day, everybody.